Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' bright glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President and CEO of the New England Council, James T. Brett.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. If I could have your attention so we could begin the speaking portion of our program. If people can lower the volume in conversation and you can still enjoy the delicious meal that's being provided here this evening, but can we lower the volume? Otherwise, I'm going to sing a song. Oh, we're getting there. Okay, we're getting there. Just lower the volume. We know who you are. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the New England Council's 2024 annual celebration. Michelle, thank you for that amazing rendition of our national anthem. It gets better every year, and you are a tough act to follow. It's wonderful to be back here with so many friends and incredible supporters of the New England Council at what has truly become one of the most anticipated events of the year. And what a night we have in store for you as we continue our tradition of honoring our extraordinary New Englanders of the Year. I want to extend a very special thank you to our returning event chair, the incomparable Catherine Craven, the Chief Financial and Administrative Officer at Babson College. And many of you may have seen earlier this month that Babson College was named by the Wall Street Journal as number 2 on the list of the 10 best colleges in America. An incredible accomplishment, no doubt, in part to leaders like Catherine. With Catherine's help and the support of the Board of Directors, the New England Council has once again broken a new record with this evening's event. And to each and every one of you in this room whose commitment to the New England Council is reflected in your extraordinary support, I say thank you, not only for making tonight so special and successful, but for your steadfast commitment and support over the years. The New England Council is stronger, more vibrant, and more relevant than ever. But none of it would be possible without active, engaged members who work with us day in and day out to advocate for a better future for this region that we all call home. Tonight, I especially want to thank our very generous platinum sponsors, Bank of America, Eastern Bank, Encore Boston Harbor, Fidelity Investments, Hanscom Federal Credit Union, Point 32 Health, Vineyard Offshore. We're also grateful to our diamond sponsors and to all of the other businesses and organizations. Now listen to this. Nearly 200 in total have sponsored this evening's program. We are truly overwhelmed with gratitude. Needless to say, we are living in truly unsettling times, with partisan division at an all-time high. But the division in our country is what makes the New England Council work even more important. The Council strives to find consensus, to foster bipartisan solutions to the challenges our nation faces, and to build connections across party lines, across state borders, and across the various industries that make up our region's vibrant economy. But tonight, let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on the fact that our region has some incredible leaders working each and every day to make New England a better place to live, to do business, and to succeed. This evening, we will celebrate just a few of them, including a family working to foster a better future for at-risk youth, a retiring member of the United States Congress who has championed bipartisanship, two CEOs who have worked to grow the economy and advance social justice, and an incredible organization dedicated to supporting our nation's veterans. This past July, our community lost a giant in the name of Jack Connors, a legend in Boston. Jack leaves behind a legacy of, quote, doing the right thing, always ready to offer his hand to whatever cause needed help while bringing along others to join him in the effort. No one has done more for our neighbors in need than our friend Jack Connors. As Cardinal Sean Patrick O'Malley noted, quote, Jack combined a life of civic leadership and Christian generosity, and the generosity was never confined to one area of need or suffering. It was boundless in its content. We are a better community of neighbors, friends, and citizens because Jack lived and worked among us for so long. End of quote. May he rest in peace, Jack, and may we all pledge to follow your noble and loving example. I would ask now a moment of silence. Thank you. And I'm sure Jack is looking down with a big smile. I'm now pleased to introduce one of the New England Council's most steadfast supporters, whose leadership and guidance have been vital to the organization's continued growth and success. Our longtime board chair, and my dear friend, John Heiler, Chairman of FM Investments.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Jim. First, I want to echo Jim's thanks to Catherine Craven and our thanks to all of the sponsors for their continued support. Nights like this just don't happen, and between the team at the New England Council and our corporate sponsors tonight, this happened. I'd love to give a round of applause to everybody that organized this. Thank you. I've had the opportunity over the years to stand in front of this crowd, and every year on this night I look out and I'm amazed at the size, at the power of the council to bring people together across industries, geographies, and personal backgrounds. And it's always amazing to see this group at this size. And we sit here tonight, just 6 weeks in a day, from what we see as a historic, truly consequential election, maybe of our lifetimes. But there's a bigger and even more important choice before our nation and before us. And I'm hopeful that we choose a path forward that leads away from polarization towards more constructive conversations across our society, schools, and in our neighborhoods and homes. A path that leads away from those that seek to divide us and toward those that seek to unite us. A path where compromise is not considered a weakness. A path where compassion and virtue are not measured by the loudness of someone's voice, but by the deeds that they do in life and the selflessness that they show. One of the things, and some may think all of this is pretty naive, and I get it, but as I've said before, and I'll say it again tonight, this room serves as an outstanding example of the progress of putting politics before the good of the few toward the good of many. And that's what the New England Council is all about. It's about putting politics aside and coming up with policies that work for us all. The Council builds bridges, not barriers. It does not advocate for a party, but for sound policy. Policies that serve the people of our region, our nation, and the businesses for which we work for. Policies that promote a more skilled workforce, encourage innovation, advance and ensure economic opportunities and financial security, and drive economic growth. The Council has helped further growth of the New England's innovation economy, both through its policy advocacy and its focus on leading in industries such as life sciences, financial services, robotics, AI, manufacturing, education, the list goes on. And earlier this year, the Council launched a brand new program. It's Rising Star Networks. It's to help prepare the next generation of leaders for even greater growth in the New England economy. Now, this work is really significantly important tonight because the New England Council is about ready to mark its 100th anniversary. And it's here I'd like to take a moment, even though I'm thinking about not doing it. But seriously, I'd like to take a moment to talk to the members in the crowd. Without your support, without your commitment to the New England Council, this wouldn't happen tonight. It's an unbelievable event, and you show your support, your trust, and your faith in the New England Council by supporting this institution. The New England Council is only as strong as its members, and I will tell you, this is one of the strongest groups, strongest business groups in the country, and it's because of the membership. Lastly, tonight, we honor our region's most creative and compassionate leaders, all of whom made incredible contributions that we will feel will happen over and over and over again through the decades because of their support and what they've been able to accomplish. It's remarkable. So a round of applause for all our honorees tonight, and thank you all for your support of the council. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chairman of the Boston Red Sox, Tom Werner.
I'm not gonna take Tom's minute. I know that we have an overflowing crowd here this evening. Almost 1,700 people registered, which is extraordinary. But because of that, I know that people are anxious to talk to each other and see each other and hug each other. But we also have some prominent people here this evening being recognized. We have some very prominent people here to salute our honorees. All I'm asking of you, if you can just lower the volume as the speakers come to the podium. I think they deserve it. This is an extraordinary honor for each and every one of them. So if you could do that, I would appreciate it, and all of the speakers that will come afterwards will also appreciate your attention and your courtesy. But just think of yourself, if you were up here and you heard the chatter throughout the room, I think you'd say, wait a minute, you know, they're being disrespectful. I know you don't mean that. You want to say hello and congratulate each other. But just be mindful of people who are up here. This is an extraordinarily special night for some special people. And let them celebrate it. And hopefully we can have a great night. With that, my friend, Tom Werner.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
All right.
All right, thank you, Jim. This is a great evening. 1,700 people are here tonight to honor the New England Council, and it's an honor for me to be here to introduce our first New Englander of the Year award. I'm here really to introduce General Jack Hammond, and I hope you all get to know him. If you're sitting near him, you know, I've had the privilege to break bread with presidents and actors and athletes, scientists and other people of note, but there's really no one I admire more than General Jack Hammond. In the late 16th century, there was a Spanish nun. She was a mystic philosopher named Saint Teresa of Avila. After her mother passed when she was 11 years old, she devoted her life contemplating profound matters of the soul. And she wrote that the most important virtue is courage, because courage, as you all know, gets us through the most challenging obstacles. Jack, of course, demonstrated that when he led combat operations in some of the most challenging locations in Iraq and Afghanistan. He demonstrated that when he deployed with his battalion within hours of the attack on September 11, 2001, and later when he led relief operations in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And he demonstrated that when he raised his hand to run a small new clinic called Home Base in 2012, now considered the best in this country dealing with veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. Because, as you know, courage is not only serving our country in battle, it is taking risks and dealing with adversity here at home. And under Jack's leadership, the home-based clinic has seen and helped over 40,000 patients, soldiers, and veterans and their families, all from 50 states. And Home Base is not just an effective and innovative program, it is the epitome of how to stand with our veterans, how to help them cope with the greatest of losses, how to offer care, respect, and the support they deserve. And I have witnessed firsthand their life-saving techniques, because many patients come to the clinic with shattered lives, and they all recover and go back, some of them to multiple deployments. All of this at no cost to those who serve. And one more thing about Jack, he suffered adversity as a fan of the Red Sox. He grew up here in Cambridge, and he would sometimes skip school to take the train to Fenway Park to catch a game and make it back home before his parents ever noticed, before the pre-cell phone era. I have just one short story to tell you about Jack. He is known for being calm under pressure. The first year he joined Home Base, Jack asked me to secure an A-list Hollywood talent to headline a program at Symphony Hall to raise funds for our program. I called Sarah Silverman, the well-known comedian, and sat next to Jack as she performed her act in front of a few thousand people. And let me tell you, she performed the raunchiest, the cringiest set I ever witnessed. And that's saying something. She went off script with wildly inappropriate jokes, such as comments about her father's body parts, in front of military officers, political leaders, and even young kids. Jack took the stage immediately afterwards and diffused the tension by saying, "I would rather go back to Fallujah than go through that again." So, Jack's here tonight with Colleen, his wife, his children, Kaylin, Shay, and his grandson, Wyatt. And Jack's award as one of the finest New Englanders of the year is well-deserved for his impact on our region and our country. Jack, we love you, we respect and admire you, and we are all endlessly grateful for your life of service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Every day, thousands of our nation's warriors wake up suffering deeply from the invisible wounds of war. And tragically, 25 to 40 of them lose that battle each day. Since 2001, more than 150,000 veterans have died by suicide here in America. For more than 15 years, the incredible team at Home Base has been there for them, delivering life-saving care to more than 40,000 warriors and their families from all 50 states and 13 countries. And as Tom mentioned, all of that care is delivered at no cost by some of the best clinical teams in America. This remarkable group of people have dedicated themselves to this mission and come to work each day to save lives, rebuild families, and offer hope to our warriors for a day without pain. So I'd like to ask my Home Base teammates here tonight if they could stand and accept this award with me on behalf of our entire Home Base team. Every transformation begins with a big idea, and for Home Base, that idea started with the vision and support of a great man I am proud to call my friend, Tom Werner. His vision to engage the private sector in this battle to save lives and build a partnership between the most philanthropic sports franchise in America and the world's best hospital has transformed what is possible in veteran care and saved thousands of lives. Tom was moved to action after the Red Sox visited Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, where he met young men and women who had recently returned back from Iraq and Afghanistan with catastrophic injuries. Although he was deeply inspired by their resilience and optimism, he was also outraged by the growing epidemic of veteran suicide and untreated brain injuries. When he returned to Boston, Tom shared his concerns and his vision with Dr. Peter Slavin from MGH and another great friend of ours who Jim mentioned a few moments ago, our good friend Jack Connors, and together they created Home Base. What began as a small clinic treating a few hundred veterans locally each year has now grown into an international center of excellence that cares for thousands of veterans from across the country every day, with partnerships in Texas, Florida, and Arizona, and growing international partners in the Ukraine and Israel, as well as the United Kingdom. Home Base has continually reimagined what is possible in treating these unseen wounds since 2009. Throughout this journey, Tom has generously supported our work and has been willing to hop on a plane or call leaders in Washington on a moment's notice to advocate for our veterans. So thank you very much, Tom, for being my friend and your generous support for Home Base. I would also like to thank my family who are here with me tonight. They have supported me throughout my military service and my time at Home Base. My wife, Colleen, and I have been married for nearly 40 years. We met as young Army officers, and through all these years, she has remained my best friend, always offering me wise counsel, reminding me to stay grounded, sometimes more than I think I need, maybe more tonight, and also ensuring that our family was safe and secure during my many deployments and operational assignments. Our children, Kayla and Shay, were teenagers in 2001 when our world was changed. They spent their high school years and college years with me deployed, and even when I did come home, like many veterans, I wasn't always present. I want to thank them for enduring those difficult years and for becoming the remarkable adults they are today. And to my grandson, Wyatt, who is now my new running buddy, you represent the future of this great country. Your kindness and humor give me hope of what's to come. For 40 years now, I've had the honor of leading great organizations often faced with what seemed like insurmountable challenges. And throughout these experiences, I've learned that success is built on three key elements: passionate people, partnerships, and innovation. First and foremost, people are the center of gravity for any successful effort. And Home Base is blessed to have an exceptional team led by Michael Allard since its inception. And all of these people are deeply committed to the people we serve. Every day, they care for some of the most severely injured warriors and their families from across the nation, and whether they're our clinical staff or part of our cleaning staff, they treat every person that walks through that front door like their family. For this team, good enough is never good enough, and they understand that in many cases, we offer these veterans their last best chance at survival. As a young Army officer, I learned that a vision without resources is a hallucination. And at Home Base, we succeed where the government struggles because of the amazing partnerships that we have built, which allow us to grow beyond our means, leverage synergies, and accomplish far more than we ever could have done on our own. We are deeply grateful to these partners, to include Governor Healy and the legislature, who ensure with funding that we can deliver top-notch Mass General care to any Massachusetts veteran, regardless of whether or not they live in North Adams or Charlestown. I also want to thank Jim Brett, Larry Zabar, and the New England Council for their steadfast support and this incredible honor. Jim has been a good friend since I returned back to Boston in 2012 and a great supporter of our work at Home Base. Just last week, he told me that if I said something nice about him tonight, I could pick up an extra 2 minutes in my remarks. I'm not kidding, and he reminded me again tonight. So seriously, I want to thank Jim for all his great work and what he does to support our veterans. That third element of success is innovation, and Home Base was built on the belief that by combining the strengths of the private sector with academic medicine, we could create groundbreaking solutions for the invisible wounds. Innovation is in the DNA of every member of our Home Base team, and we are fortunate to collaborate with some of the brightest minds in medicine and have access to the greatest resources in the country through the Mass General Brigham system. We currently have 26 active research and innovation projects underway at Home Base. We've just completed an enhanced polytrauma space to treat our special operations team members. and we are in the process of implementing a new health span approach to medicine which focuses on treating improved cognitive function, mental health challenges, pain management, sleep, and the chronic conditions related to military service. Every day, I am inspired by the passionate and dedicated team at home base who are committed to helping our veterans and the families overcome these challenges. In closing, I would just like to congratulate my fellow award recipients and once again thank the New England Council for this great honor. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor of Management Practice at the Harvard Business School and WEX board member, Shekhar Ghosh.
19 years ago, I got a call from a friend of mine, Ro Moriarty, who asked me if I would be on the board of a new company that might go public. I said yes, I would do it for one term of 3 years, and then I completely forgot about it. And so a few weeks later, we were going to have our first board meeting. I decided I was going to drive to Maine, and I was going to study the night before on what this company did. It turned out that I thought Maine was to the north of Boston, and that's about it. So I took 93 north and ended up in a snowstorm and discovered that in New England, 93 and 95 don't connect. And so I had a low-slung car in a snowstorm, stuck on a snowbank at 2 in the morning. So my first meeting, I showed up there in time, but having spent the whole night on the road and had not prepared at all. Melissa at that point was a 35-year-old CFO of a public company. And so I figured I would just cheat and get the cheat codes from her. And so I went to her and said, could you tell me what numbers I need to know? And she gave me a little sheet, and it said 95 into 44. And I could not figure out what that was. I was thinking, is that operating income? Is it, percentage utilization? And then after a while, I realized that she was saying, take Route 95 to exit 44. So through the years, Melissa's facility with numbers has always come up, but the numbers have always been in the context of something bigger. For many years, I served on the compensation committee, and as Charlie Munger had said, give me the incentives, I'll give you the behavior. And if you look at most companies, and you look at their walls, and you see water dripping or eagles flying, that's really not their values. The values come in the budget, the values come in the incentives, the values come in who they choose to reward. WEX is an unusual business in that we are critically dependent upon what happens in the world. We make most of our money on the fuel surcharges. So when anything happens in the Middle East, when interest rates change, our profitability varies greatly. And so that gives a huge surface area for excuses. Anytime performance is bad, you can find an excuse that goes through. And one of the things that I've learned from Melissa after so long is that bad performance plus good excuse does not equal good performance. But also that you cannot tell performance just based on outcome. That you have to think about who the person is, what their growth is, where they want to go. When I teach a class, I have students from all over the university. And it always strikes me that the business students have the toughest time figuring out what to do with their lives. And the reason is because if you go to the law school and you just do what you're trained to do, you will create justice. If you go to the medical school and you do what you're trained to do, you will create health. If you go to the business school, it's not at all clear what you create. Wealth is a very unsatisfactory answer. And so prosperity, some sense of balance, some sense of everything that makes our lives what they are, becomes important, particularly at this time when we have AI coming in, when we have uncertainty in the political environment, when most institutions around us have been falling apart. Business still remains one of the stalwarts, and so we need people like Melissa. And so for 76 quarters, I get in my car, I say, 95 44 and get a masterclass in management. Thank you.
Thank you, Shikar. The generous introduction. I'd say he has inspired me to strive for excellence, and I really much appreciate that. Your perspective as a serial technology entrepreneur has been invaluable. It's a privilege to stand here tonight amongst friends, family, board members, colleagues. Your support deeply enriches my journey more than I can express. And I want to give a special shout out to my husband, Brian Cochran. His daily sacrifices for our family and my career inspire me endlessly. Thank you, BC. It's a joy to have our children. If you can stand up, Baxter, Foster, and Grace. They're here with us tonight. One of the things Shikar didn't say is that I was the first person, this public company CEO, that got pregnant while CEO. So as Baxter's standing there, he actually is a good reminder as he ages how long I've been a CEO. And Heidi, my sister, Heather, my niece, it's wonderful to have you in the audience. Your unwavering support is a constant source of strength for me. Recently, Jim Brett and I shared a conversation about the profound strength our mothers have instilled in us. So my question of you, how many of you were inspired by your mothers? My mother, Dale, is a cornerstone of who I am. It's actually pretty incredible. She's 84 and she's in Hawaii with one of my sisters. She raised in a small town in Wynn, Maine, as was I. She was a trailblazer. She earned her master's in mathematics while raising 3 spirited daughters. She taught us to challenge the status quo and to embrace life's adventures. Her strength taught us to break barriers, and I carry her lessons with me every day. Growing up in rural Maine may seem like an unlikely foundation for a CEO, but I think it's precisely those roots that shape my perspective. One of the things that we did was a rite of passage. You were driving an old hay truck as soon as you could see over the steering wheel. So that became one of the things that we got to do. And if you dumped the truck, then you had to pick up the hay. But if you dumped the people that were on the back of the truck, well, that had much bigger implications. So our working farm was more than just a place. It was a school for hard work, community, and connection. And to me, true leadership is about forging connections, making courageous decisions, and uplifting others. At WEX, I'm privileged to work alongside a fantastic leadership team and an amazing board, many of whom are here tonight. Our grit, determination, and expertise have fueled our growth from $50 million, so when Shikar talks about that, like early stages as a public company when I was the CFO, to $2.7 billion in revenue. Inspired by my mother's words, I embraced the question, why not? This simple question challenges us to transcend perceived limitations and to seize opportunities. Success is often non-linear, and together we can navigate those twists and turns both professionally and personally. And I hope to impart resilience like that to my children, who motivate me every day to be the best version of myself. So I'm honored to be recognized alongside these other remarkable New England leaders, the Burton family, Brigadier General Mark Hammond, their Honorable Anne McLean Custer, and Robert Rivers. Your commitment to creating opportunities for others is truly amazing. And thank you, Jim, Larry, and the entire New England Council for this celebration. Together, we are creating a vibrant community, creating ripples of impact that extend far beyond our neighborhoods. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. We will resume our program shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Michelle Brooks Thompson.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the lights from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean wide with foam. Oh, God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America. sweet home. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chief Administrative and Financial Officer of Babson College and tonight's event chair, Catherine Craven.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. I first want to say a word about our singer. Michelle, you have a powerful and magical voice. It is such a pleasure to listen to you. Thank you for adding so much to our event, and we can all look forward to one more song from Michelle to close out the night. And I want to also say a thank you to everyone here at the Omni, the hotel workers, everybody who's helped us, the chefs, get this going tonight. This is the second consecutive year that Jim and Larry have asked me to chair a dinner of 1,700 of their very best friends. And for the second year in a row, I'm able to say that once again, I have the easiest job of the night. It is to simply thank all of you for being here, in record numbers, to honor truly extraordinary New Englanders, and to promote and advance the work of the New England Council. Look around this room. It is filled with leaders of business, academia, government, and nonprofit groups from throughout New England. Imagine trying to do this in any other part of the country. But the Council's ability to define an agenda that transcends partnership and ideology and instead unites us by our shared geography, culture, history, and even accent is what makes the Council so unique and effective, and it's what makes us proud to call ourselves New Englanders. And the success, importance, and value of the New England Council is reflected by the 1,700 people here tonight. So again, I want to congratulate our great winners, General Hammond, Melissa Smith, the Burton family, Congresswoman Custer, and Bob Rivers, and thank you for making my job so easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congresswoman Lori Trahan to the stage.
That snuck up on me. Good evening, everyone. What an honor it is to introduce someone whose impact on New England and our nation has truly been transformative, Congresswoman Annie Custer. Tonight we celebrate Annie not only for her remarkable achievements in government, but for her relentless dedication in uplifting others, especially women. As a founder of the Elect Democratic Women, Annie has been a powerful advocate for empowering women in leadership, ensuring their voices are elevated at every level. Of course, Annie's leadership extends well beyond this. As co-chair of the bipartisan Mental Health and Substance Use Disorder Task Force, she has tackled one of the most pressing public health crises of our time, working to bridge the partisan divide in Washington and ensuring that mental health and addiction treatment gets the attention they deserve in our policymaking. Her ability to bring people together has been demonstrated perhaps most clearly in her role as chair of the New Democratic Coalition, where she championed a new approach in Washington, one that's focused on collaboration and results. Lo and behold, under Annie's leadership, we saw landmark legislation like the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act come to life, transforming our economy and providing new opportunities for all. The New Dems, a critical voting bloc, were there to get the job done for the Biden-Harris administration under Annie's watch. And on a personal note, Annie has been a steadfast friend and mentor. When I was a new member of Congress, Annie was there, guiding me, putting me on a path to success. And let me tell you, she's just great fun. And she can beat every single member in downhill skiing and look great doing it. She has been that pillar of support for so many of us in the Congress, and her generosity of spirit is just one of the many reasons why she's so beloved. Annie, your compassion, your determination, and your vision has touched countless lives. You've made our region and the country stronger. I will certainly miss serving with you alongside you in Congress, but I'm comforted to know that you'll remain a powerful force for good. It's entirely fitting that we recognize you tonight as New Englander of the Year, an honor that you have more than earned. Congratulations, Annie.
Good evening. Wow. Thank you, Lori. That was beautiful. I am blessed to have Lori Trahan in my life, as you can imagine. What a tremendous honor it is to be recognized with all of my colleagues here tonight. Thank you as a New Englander of the Year. Serving the people of New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District over the past 12 years has literally been the honor of a lifetime. And it's been my privilege to work with Jim Brett, Larry Zabar, and the New England Council to ensure that New Hampshire and New England have a seat at the table in Washington, D.C. Growing up, my parents instilled in me the importance of public service and practicing what my team likes to call radical hospitality. Going above and beyond to make those around you feel welcome, heard, and supported. These values guided me for 25 years as an attorney at Rath, Young, and Pignatelli, a community leader, a spouse, thank you, Brad, for everything that you have done for me, and a parent to 2 fine young men who are, as we speak, both traveling in Europe. So luckily, the rest of my family is here, and thank you to my nieces and my siblings for holding up the ship. And eventually, thank you. Eventually led me to public service on my election to Congress. When I was first elected in 2012, I promised to bring a new approach to Washington, D.C., bringing people together to get the job done and delivering real results for hardworking New Hampshire families. I am proud of our record. Today in Washington, it can feel like our differences are too great and nothing can bridge the gap. But I know there is so much more that unites us than divides us. Our government works best when Republicans and Democrats come together to find bipartisan solutions. And I've seen firsthand what is possible when we set aside our differences and focus on what we have in common. From working to end the addiction and mental health crisis facing our communities, to boosting clean energy and tackling climate change, I know that through honest conversations and respectful debate, we can come together, lower the temperature, and improve the lives for our children and grandchildren to come. We may not always agree on the fine print, but we've always found a way to advance meaningful solutions to meet the moment. I currently serve as the chair of the New Democrat Coalition, a group of 100 center-left pragmatic House Democrats working to break through the partisan gridlock and tackle big challenges. The New Dem Coalition has been at the table, ready and willing to work across the aisle to get the job done. We are truly the can-do caucus. This Congress, we've made headway on issues from increasing access to lower-cost health care and extending telehealth services, to enacting permitting reform and investing in clean energy, infrastructure, and U.S. manufacturing. With the chaos in House Republican leadership, it hasn't always been easy. Last year, New Dems played a critical role in the debt ceiling negotiations to prevent a devastating default and worldwide economic collapse. New Dems provided the votes to keep the government from shutting down not once, not twice, but several times, and we will do it again this week. Many of these bills and votes have not been perfect, and neither party gets everything they want. But the American people look to Congress to lead by example and solve the toughest challenges facing our country. And that is exactly what I have proudly encouraged my colleagues to do every single day. Stepping into this leadership role as chair of New Dems has been rewarding, but more than anything else, it's been inspiring. I am filled with hope and optimism about the future of New England and our country. I am inspired every single day by Governor Maura Healey, by my good friend Lori Trahan, by my roommate and our next majority leader, Catherine Clark. Catherine will be with us tonight, but she had to go to votes, and Lori and I got a reprieve to skip votes to be here. Part of playing on a team and being a leader also means knowing when it's time to pass the baton. Over the past 12 years, I am honored to have mentored dozens of bright and talented young lawmakers. Their dedication and commitment to their constituents, to our democracy, and indeed to our country reaffirm my decision to pass the torch to the next generation of leaders. Our work is not done, and I hope to continue on this journey with you, albeit in another role next year. There are many challenges still facing New England and the rest of our country, from increasing access to affordable housing and childcare, to equipping our workforce with the skills they will need to succeed in the 21st century economy. Republicans and Democrats will need to come together to deliver real results, to ensure that our families, our businesses, our nonprofits, and our communities can thrive and succeed. As I look to the future, I am so excited by the work and the opportunities that lie ahead. We all have a role to play for what we believe in, advocating for a better future, and pursuing the change we want to see. So here's my advice. Be bold, be brave, be kind. Your voice matters. Your vote counts. Choose wisely on November 5th. And thank you for this incredible honor and for a memorable evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Maura Healey, Governor of Massachusetts, to the stage.
Well, good evening, everyone. I grew up in the 1st District of New Hampshire. I wasn't lucky enough to live in the 2nd District of New Hampshire, but I had to extend a hug and congratulations to Congresswoman Annie Custer, who has done incredible things. Congresswoman Trahan, who's also a champion, noted that in her remarks. And I just want to say personally to you, on behalf of my family who still live in New Hampshire, thank you for your service. Thank you for your mentorship of folks like me. And I know you will continue to be engaged no matter where the next trail takes you. So congratulations, Congresswoman. Thank you. Many thanks to Jim Brett, to Larry, to the entire team at New England Council for bringing us together tonight. And thank you for the work that you do all around the year. You know, the other week, the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll, who's out here tonight with us, we are doing a fantastic job. Couldn't have a better teammate. Earlier this month, we hosted, along with the New England Council, the New England governors and the Eastern Canadian premiers. It was a clean energy conference. I thank you, New England Council, for your presence there. Really important and productive set of meetings. Jim not only helped us bring the group to Fenway Park, which was a treat to get on the field before the game. I actually got to spray home plate. But more than that, the New England Council's work really helped me and us in Massachusetts establish this as a hub for regional collaboration, bi-national collaboration, and we're going to continue to benefit from that. So thank you once again for being there. Tonight I have the distinct honor of presenting a New Englander of the Year award. This is an award that is particularly meaningful to me because I've had the opportunity to work with this individual over the course of my career in public life, both as Attorney General, even as a bureau chief in the Attorney General's office, and now as governor. We're lucky in Massachusetts. We're lucky in New England to have so many tremendous business leaders, and I see so many of you in this room this evening. I also know that there are certain public-private partnerships that are particularly meaningful, and that there are certain private sector leaders who are always there to go above and beyond. It's wonderful we have such support. It's also wonderful that we have people who are willing to take that extra step. Sometimes it's making a call, sometimes it's being the first to raise their hand, sometimes it's the courage and the willingness to step out on an issue that may cause some angst. But they do that because they're motivated not by self-interest, but by deeply held values. And I want to say that having known and worked with Bob Rivers for many, many years, no one exemplifies that spirit more than he does. As you know, Bob is the chairman and CEO of Eastern Bank, which he describes as a, quote, a social enterprise wrapped in a financial services company. If that language ever gave shareholders pause, which I'm sure it would in some corners, just consider this. Consider that Eastern has doubled in size in just the past 5 years alone and has grown 4 times ever since Bob joined Eastern Bank 18 years ago. Bob really exemplifies the concept of doing well by doing good. He and his team have made community engagement the foundation of business success. He's best known as a champion of social and economic justice, and the private sector leader of diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just in Massachusetts and New England, but across the country. He leads by example, of course, which I think is such an important trait of any leader. 50% of Eastern's board and management team are women, people of color, members of the LGBTQ plus community. I don't mean to stumble, I'm actually quite familiar with that community. He's focused Eastern Bank Foundation work on addressing the really important racial wealth gap that none of us want to see exist anywhere in this country, but especially here in Massachusetts. He's done that through work and partnership around economic mobility, entrepreneurship, early education, workforce development, and housing. And as an administration focused on many of these same goals, if not all of them, we count on Bob and the foundation as invaluable members of Team Massachusetts, which I'm wearing my bracelet here tonight. On every single issue that matters in people's lives, Bob is there, not only with ideas, but with energy and with resources. He's the first to make a call and the first to make a difference. Bob, I appreciate years ago when we were engaged in efforts to fight back against what would have been a discriminatory law in places of public accommodation. You were a business leader to step forward and say, that's not good for Massachusetts, it's not good for business. We're with you. And we were successful in defeating that effort and standing up for the rights of all in our great state. And I thank you for that. I also appreciate that more recently, when I took office, we had that issue, remember, with Silicon Valley Bank? And the person on speed dial working very closely with Secretary Yvonne Howe and myself was Bob Rivers, because I knew that I could count on him for his judgment and his advice as we weathered that. So, look, we're really glad that having left Stonehill College, spent some time in Buffalo, you returned to the great state of Massachusetts, where you have done incredible work, been an incredible leader, and somebody that I and so many of us in this room count on day in and day out. Congratulations on your receiving the New Englander of the Year award, Bob Rivers.
Well, thank you, Governor Healy, for that kind introduction, for your leadership, and your partnership with the business community. All of us here really treasure that and appreciate it very much. And really, because of the transformative work being undertaken by your administration, I could not be more proud to be a member of Team Massachusetts. So hopefully everyone has one of these. Many thanks to all of you who are here this evening, who have turned out with, again, record-breaking support of the New England Council, whose tremendous work supports all of us. And special thanks to my wife, Patricia, without whose sacrifice and support I wouldn't be here tonight. It is truly a privilege to be recognized by such an esteemed and storied organization led by one of the finest people I know, Jim Brett. Thank you, Jim. and to be among such esteemed fellow honorees and those who have received this award in the past. Honestly, for a working-class kid who started his banking career as a part-time teller and full-time janitor 42 years ago, it's a pretty heady moment. As we put the pandemic increasingly in the rearview mirror, it is clear that many structural and societal challenges have been left in its wake. Whether it be the need to address daunting housing shortages, reimagine and repurpose office real estate, rebuild and strengthen the critical infrastructure of early childcare and education, or protect the quality of our nation-leading education system, we are truly living in a pivotal time. In addition, we must embrace new arrivals to our region as the engine of future economic growth and cultural vibrancy, as they have been since the Pilgrims landed on our shores 400 years ago. While at the same time, standing resolute in our support of the rights and opportunities of all people, especially women, people of color, and the members of the LGBTQ+ community. In the face of all of this, the word crisis has been applied to many of these challenges. However, as President Kennedy once observed, the Chinese symbol for crisis is made up of two brushstrokes. One signifies danger, the other opportunity. And I think that's exactly what we have here. An opportunity to build back better, if you will, or build something that's never been before, requiring all of us to work together like never before, whether we be in the private, public, or nonprofit sector. To do this, we can no longer stay in our own lane and focus on our own agendas through a one-dimensional lens. Instead, we must embrace one comprised of different perspectives and objectives while understanding the challenges and constraints that each of us faces. Developing a stronger civic engagement muscle is something that's been on my mind since reading Walter Isaacson's best-selling biography of Ben Franklin about 20 years ago. In it, Isaacson describes that before Franklin was the founding father, diplomat, and inventor for which he is most famous, that he was a printer, starting as an apprentice right here in Boston, later becoming a very successful journalist and publisher in Philadelphia. At age 42, he concluded that his life was half over, and wanting to do other things, sold his printing businesses and became one of our nation's most significant contributors in a wide variety of areas. As it turns out, his premonition was exactly correct. He died 42 years later at age 84. I was 42 when I became the president of Eastern Bank. And 18 years later, mindful that time is short and that my life is more than half over, I've developed an increasing sense of urgency about the work to be done and how to best contribute to it. This is the opportunity and the responsibility that all of us have. As some of you know, a personal hero of mine is the late Senator Robert F. Kennedy, whose Day of Affirmation speech at the University of Cape Town in South Africa in 1966 continues to inspire me, and today more than ever, and I'd like to read some of it to you. Some believe that there is nothing one person can do against the enormous array of the world's ills. Yet many of the great movements of thought and action have flowed from the work of a single individual. Each time someone stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. He went on to say, like it or not, we live in times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also more open to creative energy than any other time in history. All of us will ultimately be judged, and as the years pass, we will surely judge ourselves on the effort we have contributed to building a new world society and the extent to which our ideals and goals have shaped that effort. The future does not belong to those who are content with today, apathetic towards common problems and their fellow human beings, or timid and fearful in the face of new ideas and bold projects. Rather, it will belong to those who can blend vision, reason, and courage in a personal commitment to the ideals and great enterprises of American society. That speech was delivered 56 years ago, but it remains a call to action that is as resonant today as it was then. Much like in 2020 when COVID struck, we are all in this together. This is not a time to admire the problem or point fingers. The most important thing we can do today is become energized and engaged to work on solutions. Each of us can be those tiny ripples of hope Senator Kennedy spoke about, and by working together, the New England region will not only be more vibrant and more thriving, but a more competitive one, retaining and attracting individuals, families, and businesses. Thank you again to the New England Council for this recognition and the opportunity to speak with you this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the co-head of U.S. Capital Markets at Newmark, Rob Griffin.
Good evening. That was great, Bob. It was amazing. Governor Healy, amazing speech also. It's my pleasure to introduce the honorees that I've known for 12 years. The first family of philanthropy in my mind. No family that I know of has sacrificed more or been more devoted to helping children than this family. They seek no recognition, only that you see God's hand on their father's dream and their good works. They are the Burton family. When I was speaking at the Corey C. Griffin Foundation Marathon Runners before they ran last year, I showed them a clip of the Chariots of Fire. Many of you have watched that years ago, when Eric Liddell said, "I believe God made me for a purpose. When I run, I feel his pleasure." It made me think immediately of the Burtons. As a result of the time I've spent with them, I've come to realize there's no greater opportunity to feel God's pleasure than we're helping children. It became very clear to me at Ron Burton's training village, which I call the Village of Miracles, that it should be everyone's purpose in life. Happiness and fulfillment would be increased exponentially if we do embrace it like the Burtons have. To understand one's purpose is not always easy. Something I've also learned watching the Burtons closely is that the best inspiration in the direction of life doesn't come from the brain. The brain can mislead you, as we all know. It doesn't come from the heart, because the heart can deceive you. I believe the wonderful life decisions the Burtons have made have come from time spent in contemplative prayer. It comes from the deep recesses of the soul. When the mind and the heart are quiet and it's just you and God, that is where you find your purpose. That is where you experience God's pleasure. And they have found that secret. My son's foundation has been incredibly influenced by the Burton family, and they cannot possibly understand what they mean to us. What makes the Burtons so special, you might ask? Where does a family like this come from? I could spend an hour describing their good deeds, but I think it's important you know that and understand the goodness comes from. You need to look no further than Mr. Burton. Ron Sr. grew up poor in Ohio, was raised by his grandmother, and his mother passed away, and his dad was too sick to take care of him. His grandmother was a gospel preacher who kept young Ron fed and clothed through the church. Because of extreme poverty and lack of athletic ability, he was picked on by others. They called him Nothing. His nickname was actually Nothing. Ron desperately wanted to fit in, tried for the football team, didn't make the cut, but pled with the coach to finally get a uniform. He sat on the bench for 2 straight years, and in the last game in the 8th grade, after the team had run up the score already with 35 seconds left on the clock, they put him in. He ran for 10 yards, and the game was over, and that was his season. Fortunately, after the game, a different high school coach saw him and said, "I see that you lack size and a little bit of talent, but you made up for it in heart and determination." He told young Ron at that time if he could be great at football if he got up every morning at 4:30 and ran 7 miles. Ron began the next day and continued for 12 straight years. That daily run, which is important to remember when we talk about the Burtons, made the undersized Ron Burton one of the fastest, strongest football players in Ohio. Built up his speed, endurance, agility, and confidence. He made the football team that fall and played every year until he became a high school All-American, received 47 college scholarships, went on to play for Northwestern, where he became a college All-American and a contender for the Heisman Trophy, was then drafted in the first round, first pick of the NFL, AFL, Canadian Football League. That's never happened before or since, and eventually was inducted in the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame. I tell you that story because that's where this beautiful family comes from. Ron's life changed when one adult took an interest in him and gave him some encouragement and guidance. That experience, along with the love lessons from his grandmother, led him to ask, how can I make the world a better place? How can I take this concept of love and make it a reality for children? He answered his own question when he founded the Ron Burton Training Village, an organization that teaches children love, peace, patience, and humility in a faith-based environment. RBTV builds character, fosters leadership of underserved children, seeking opportunities through academic activities, athletic competition, commitment to community outreach, and sometimes the biggest lessons come each morning when participants rise at 4:30 and run 7 miles, which all the Burtons do. You'll take a look at them. You see, that's not an easy task. Since its beginning in 1986, the Ron Burton Training Village has served thousands of children, beginning at age 11, continuing with them through high school. Children are encouraged, loved, nurtured, develop character and confidence, which goes on to change their family and community. It can turn into change in this country. Ron Sr. committed his time, talents, and resources to the children he served. Literally all of his life savings. Every dollar his family had, not one child of the 5 that we'll describe was even in college yet. He had to pay for college, but he bought the Ron Burton Training Village with every dollar he had in the bank. No family that I know of has given more. Unfortunately, at age 67, Ron Sr. lost his battle with cancer, but his legacy lives on. And his incredible wife, Joanne, who I consider one of the most incredible women that I've ever met, she's got a beautiful soul and a beautiful way about her. And the fact that her children, all 5, every day, sometimes when you have a family, a mom or dad that lead you in charity, maybe 1 or 2 kids, they all 5 of them, they out at that camp 8 weeks a year, all of their vacation. They have other jobs, they have other children, they have their own children, and yet they're out there for, you tell your wife, your significant other, we're spending the summer helping kids. We're not going anywhere else. That's what they do. So Steve, Ron Jr., Elizabeth, Phil, and Paul, you are a very special group of young men and women. I know you make your dad and your mom so proud. Under their watch, the original Ron Burton Training has grown into a year-round program serving hundreds of boys and girls, and their staff provides programs through leadership and ACT, SAT prep, high school and college scholarships, STEM programs, athletics, monthly motivational speeches, networking events, and some of Massachusetts' greatest leaders come out and speak to them a couple times a year. All the programs are faith-based and believe God first, others second, me third. The results speak for themselves. All campers go to extraordinary schools and with bright futures ahead. We invest in a lot of different charities. The outcome is in the 97th percentile of these kids, and I've been with them for 12 years. In 1 year alone, a graduating class had 4 college presidents. Can you imagine? It's a small class. 4 college presidents out of their program in 1 year alone. More than 35 years later, they continue to work with children, empower their change in their own lives. We're proud to support the Burton family and their efforts at the Ron Burton Training Village. They have meant so much to our family and foundation. They were with us when we lost our beloved son, Corey, and helped us with our foundation and formation. And the kids at camp were so special to my son, and he was the one in our family that said, you've got to help the Burtons. This is amazing. This is an amazing place. It is my belief that if the Burtons could increase their endowment, they could permanently change the narrative and outcomes for most of the children in the underserved community. If you get a chance to visit the camp this summer, You will see what I mean. I promise you it'll change your life. Just one day at that camp will change your life. And may God always love this very special family and all the sacrifices they've made for our city's children. Let's give them the big, warm welcome here and a big hand to the Burton family.
cousin here, Mark. Okay.
Thank you, Rob. It's certainly very humbling to receive this honor from New England Council. There's a lot of irony in this because when I think about what my father went through when he was young, like Rob referred to, they called him nothing. And the reason they called him nothing is because when he was in 7th grade, he went out for football with 55 other young people, and he was the only young person the school refused to give a football suit to. And the kids said, you know, even the nobodies get a uniform. So they said, you know, you must be nothing. And that's what they called him every day. And when they saw young Ron Burton Sr. coming down the hallway, they said, here comes nothing. And they see him in the street, there goes nothing. And he'd cry every day. And the hurt and the pain went on and on. And he went out just like the story goes. And one person took a moment to say his name. One person took a moment to give him some guidance, some mentorship. And it changed the entire trajectory of his life. He went from being called nothing to being the #1 draft choice, and he ended up with the Patriots. And it wasn't so much the Patriots or the athleticism that was the big thing in Ron Burton's life. It was how he loved other people. It was the giving of love that made Ron Burton Sr. who he was. And as I think back, and I looked at all that he'd went through and all that he gave, and when he was done with that professional career, 20 years later, he sat us down as a family. He said, I want to create a little village, a place where people can come, no matter from what background, no matter what they look like, no matter who they are. I'm going to teach them to love one another. We're going to teach them to love one another, not just from the head, but from the heart. A love that can only come from one place, and that's the Lord himself. And if we can do that with 4 core values of love, peace, patience, and humility, we can change a lot of things. We can make the world a better place. And thank you. But the reason why this is so ironic is because, you know, Rob, thank you for all that, and we're so humble because we don't deserve the credit. One, the credit goes to God, but it also goes to the community. My father bet on a place. He spent all of his life savings to purchase hundreds of acres out in central Massachusetts and create a village. But he said, Ron, listen, we live in a region, near a city called the city of Boston, in the state of Massachusetts, in a region called New England. And you know what's there? People who give from the heart. And some of those people have been mentioned tonight. They have passed away, the Jack Connors of the world, the Don Rodmans of the world, the Jack Shaughnessy's of the world. And they left this legacy, but we stand on their shoulders. And the fact that we live in a region that is so kind and so giving, it makes RBTV the place that it can be to help raise children and give them the best that we can give them. So as we accept humbly this award, it's really on behalf of all of you here. There's so many people who have been contributors and funders and givers to all these young youth that we've been serving for the past 40 years. And so it's hard for me to even understand the receiving of this, because really it comes from all of you. And we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And I'm going to bring up my brother Paul Burton, who's going to say a few words. But New England Council, thank you so much. New England people, thank you so much for your giving and your support of this wonderful mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And just to reiterate what my brother was saying, just a huge thanks to Rob and your family, all that you do for the Corey C. Griffin Charitable Foundation. You're just a blessing to us. But I just want to say just one or two things. This award is for all of you, because so many people here in this room are behind our mission to help the young people of New England and their families. And there's no way we would be where we are today without your support. And we are so deeply humbled, grateful, and blown away by your generosity. And I just want to say one last thing is that, the reason why we're so successful is because we have an extraordinary group of leaders. And that is chaired by our man, Mr. Bob Reynolds, and his beautiful wife, Laura. Bob, there are no words to describe how you have assembled a group of leaders for us, how you have carried our Father's torch. You and Laura are the epitome of servanthood and of greatness. And I thank you for allowing us to be here and achieving this. I want to thank my wife, Shayla, for her just allowing me to serve in all that she does, and all the wonderful supporters that are a part of RBTV. I want to bring up my mom to say a few words as we close.
Hi, I met my husband. I met Ron, who was my husband, his freshman year at Northwestern. I'll never forget, my dad was very involved with Northwestern because my dad was an alderman in Evanston. So he had a lot of work to do at Northwestern. I'll never forget when I met him, he put up his hand. He says, "My name is Ron Burton." I will never forget that. But we became, it was just the way he did it. It was so cute. But, because my dad was very involved with Northwestern, he came over to my house a lot, and they talked, and we became friends, and the rest is history. But I think Ron was a very unusual person because he walked his own walk. He had a very deep faith, and nobody could talk him into doing something he didn't believe in. And he was very kind, very loving, and I miss him an awful lot. And thank you so much for this honor, and God bless you.
I don't know about you, but what a great way in the evening. It's 7:53. No pressure, but anyone who's here for the first time, we have a little tradition here that we try to get out at 8 p.m., which is extraordinary assignment to be given to somebody with 1,700 people and with 5 recipients and 5 speakers and Michelle singing, but we're on our way. Couple of things. I think we'd all agree it's been an inspiring evening. I congratulate, again, all of our honorees. I thank you for your leadership and your dedication. We are very proud to call you all New Englanders and now New Englander of the Year. As in years past, each of tonight's honoree will receive an inscribed Chelsea clock. It's at the end of the table here to commemorate this evening. The Chelsea clock is a testament to the important role manufacturing has played and continues to play here in New England, and we're grateful for the donation of these magnificent and beautiful, beautiful timepieces to our New Englanders of the Year. An incredible night it has been. The council is already looking forward to next year, and that is because we will be celebrating a truly monumentous landmark in our organization's history. It was back in 1925 when the region's governors gathered with business leaders. I'm not pointing to the governors, though you were there. I'm just saying back in 1925 when the region's governors met with business leaders in Poland Spring, Maine to discuss how they could work collaboratively to advocate for the region's economic well-being. And thus, that's the New England Council. And I was born, I might add, that is something that Governor Healy has preached, as she alluded to in her remarks, about bringing the premiers from different parts of Canada together with New England, working on common interests. Truly a champion, a leader. Next year, we will celebrate the Council's 100th anniversary. Stay tuned for the announcements about a variety of events and programs that you have planned to mark this anniversary, all culminating with the centennial celebration on October 20th at the Encore Boston Harbor. And to cap off this wonderful evening, I'm going to take the liberty just to say thank you. Thank you to the extraordinary staff of the New England Council. People have often asked how many people work at the New England Council, and I say about half. But our half, they're extraordinary. We are one of the smaller business groups here in New England, but 1,700 people. Larry and Emily and Peter and Mariah, Griff and Sean and Julie and Anne Marie and Pauline and Ashley. They do extraordinary work. And I just wanted to single out Pauline in particular. How would you like to have the assignment of giving the seating arrangement for 1,700 people? And not to have anybody offended. So Pauline, thank you, thank you, thank you. Conventioneers, as usual, there's an outstanding job. Dusty's a little under the weather, if anyone's asking where is Dusty Rose. She's just recuperating from a minor surgery, and she'll be back very, very shortly. So to top off again this wonderful evening, I might also add, I know Larry would probably say to me, you know, you got 200 sponsors. It's never too early to ask them to maybe sign up for the centennial. So Larry's going to be looking as you leave. Hey, you might want to do it now, save a lot of the phone calls. So to cap off this wonderful evening, I am pleased to welcome back to the stage the incredible Michelle Brooks Thompson for one final song. Thank you again for joining us this evening. We hope to see you at our centennial, and safe travels. 7:58.
All right, so I'm going to need some help from the audience out there on this song. Thank you, sound man. Come on, if you know this, just put your hands together. Do you remember the 21st night of September? That was chasing the clouds of pretenders while chasing the clouds away. Our hearts were ringing in the key that our souls were singing. Only listen, I remember how love saw the night away. Come on, help us sing. If you know it, lift your voice. Said we're dancing in September. Never was a cloudy day. Of this St. Maria. Do you remember? Oh, do you remember? Oh, cloudy day. My heart's all with you, holding hands in the heart to see you. Only blue talking love, remember, we knew love was here to stay. Oh yeah, now December, found the love we shared in September. Only blue talking love, remember, true love was shared today. Come on, let's party in here. Say, do you remember? Never was a cloudy day. Say, do you remember? Oh, oh, the bells were ringing. Our souls were singing, yeah. Do you remember? Oh, say, do you remember? We were dancing in September. There never was a cloudy day. Oh, body, yada, yada. Oh, said we're dancing in September. Good and trees are shiny days. Yeah, body, say to you, say, do you remember? Oh, yeah. Oh, do you remember? Said we're dancing in September, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you.